Several years ago on a family vacation, my family and I went to Zion National Park. We were out in Utah for a graduation for my brother, and we took a couple days trip down into Zion. On Memorial Day weekend, which apparently is the busiest weekend of the year that you can visit this park, and so it was very crowded, tons of people. And I didn't really have an agenda for what I wanted to do, but my sister, who's 2 years older, said, "I want to hike Angel's Landing." Exactly. She had researched it, and she said, anyone in this family is welcome to come with me, but here's how you do it. There are rules, there's a structure, there's a timing, you're either on board or you're not. And I was like, okay, I'm in, let's do it. And the rest of my family was like, no, thank you. Because you wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning in the pitch black, and you drive, or your dad drives you, bless him, to this shuttle area, because you're not allowed to drive your own car actually into the park. So at 6 o'clock in the morning, still in the dark, you get in line with the 100 other people who are already there to board the shuttle buses, and you throw some bows to get on the bus with your sister, and they drive you into the park, and they drop you off at kind of the trailhead for Angel's Landing. And if you're a rookie, you get off the bus and go to the bathroom first, and when you come back to the line for the trailhead, all 100 people are now in front of you. So we had a 45-minute, maybe an hour wait before we could even get onto the trailhead. Because at the time we went through, they weren't doing a permit system. There was a ranger who was standing there and said a certain number of people for every 15 minutes can head up this trail. So we stood in line, did some jumping jacks and movement to keep warm, made best friends with the most Minnesota couple I've ever met, named Connie and Brad, who became kind of like our parents in the line. And once we got to the front, the ranger stamped our hand, and he might as well have shot a gun into the air for how fast we took off up this trail. And at a running pace, at a running pace that my sister, a collegiate, all-American athlete, cross-country track runner, set this pace, that this is how fast we're gonna hike this portion of the mountain. Because the initial part of it is very steep, a lot of switchbacks, and that's about half the distance until you get to this landing where you have a nice view of the park, and then you get into the part that could kill you, which is the Angel's Landing part of it. It's a bunch of iron chains that are chained into the side of the mountain. So if you lose your footing slightly, you can just grab onto a chain and not fall off and die. But people do and have fallen off this mountain to their death. So the first section, right before you get to these chains, is this bald-faced part of the mountain that's probably a 20, 30-degree angle. And the first thing my sister does is slip. She loses her footing just slightly and catches herself. And she told me later she thought about turning around right there and then. But we got to the chain part, and despite their permitting system, hiking this chain part of the mountain is like being in a prison march. There's Connie and Brad right in front of us. There's a group of college students behind us, and you're just going up the mountain. Every so often you have to pause and wait for the people coming down the mountain to come by you, because it's just a one-lane little road up there. And so the beauty of nature was interrupted slightly by all of the people and the imminent death to either side. But we did make it to the top of Angel's Landing. It was beautiful, very worth it to get up there. but not as much about the distance as the terror of sheer death on either side.